Right, Gaffer, you've had a few people worried in the last few days, but you've just signed a new contract with the club. What's your initial reaction to securing your future?
I think it's been a couple of weeks in coming, and I'm just excited about what the next couple of years, 3 years, can bring us. I've heard a few of the rumours myself, but um, I was at the game on Saturday. There's a couple of reasons why I didn't go down, so they'll come out in the next few weeks when my hair grows back. But other than that, no, I'm excited. Honestly, we've got a group of players that are young, can improve, and the fact that we finished 12 points off the playoffs with the amount of injuries that we've had and the amount of points that we've left out there excites me for the future. So, as I've always said, I love working for the club, and I'd like to think that I'm a loyal person. And the club have given me. This is the first time in League One that I've had an opportunity to be half successful. I say half successful. It's difficult to compete with the Boltons, with the Portsmouth, and with their budgets. But so I'm grateful for the club. When I came to the club 2.5 years ago, I needed someone to show faith in me. I needed someone to show love, and Nigel and Kent, all the way down to Lingy, have given me that. So I think it's only right that I try and take the club forward to the next step.
And how would you describe, you touched on it there, but how would you describe your relationship with, your likes of Lingy and Kent and Nigel?
I think if you look back through numerous interviews, you can see how much I think of them. I'm actually going over to Boston in a week's time to have a couple of meetings with Nige, but more so that I actually consider him as a friend. So we'll socialise. It won't just all be about football. It'll be socialising as well as along with Martin and Mark Devlin and Steve. The club has a nice feel. I look at Premier League clubs like the likes of Brighton and Brentford. A lot of really good structure in place, and it allows a manager to go in there and do his job proper. I think we're similar to that. Obviously, not as big as a Premier League club, and not the budget and the finances that go with that. But our relationships are all aligned. And I think when you've got that and you have a working environment that you love working in, it goes a long way.
And everyone who knows you and everyone who's watched any interviews of yours this season will know, just how ambitious you are and how bigger plans you have for competing in this league. So what are the main factors that have made your decision to sign this new 3-year deal?
And George, that's not going to change. My message to the supporters is my ambitions and my desire to get to the very best level that I can do is not going to change. Sometimes I have to hold that frustration in because I want it now. And sometimes it is difficult to compete with clubs at the top of this league. But I do see it it's going to be a difficult league next year. It's going to be more difficult. So maybe we have to go through one more year of trying to get in the playoffs rather than actually being, you know, a high percentage of getting in the playoffs. But it's I've spoke about before. As soon as I lose that will and drive to work to improve my players, then I will always quit. That's not to say I want to work at the top end of League One as quick as possible, and I want to work in the Championship as quick as possible. And one day I'm going to leave, whether that's the club sack me or whether someone comes along and I really fancy it at the stage where I don't think I can take this club forward anymore. But I still think there's a lot of room for us to improve. And as I say, I, when I was down, when I needed someone to play job in Doncaster, Nigel, Kent, Martin, Matt Port, and Nick, everybody give me that opportunity. So I don't think it's right that I give them the opportunity to see how far I can take it.
Given the journey the club's been on so far, we've obviously got some momentum behind us at the moment. Just how much fire in your belly does the sort of ongoing project that we've got here give you?
No, George, that's what excites me. We've actually had no momentum this year. You look back, we start the season slowly. Players are unfit because we sign them late. Then we have loads of injuries, and at not one stage of the season, apart from a spell in January when we had more or less a fully fit squad, not one part of the season have we had momentum. And if we can keep, I know. Listen, other clubs will bemoan their injury list. The Ports have had horrendous injuries in January, but they went out and bought 4, 5, 6 players who were really, really good at the level. We can't afford that bigger squad, so therefore we need to keep them fit. We need to keep them on the pitch, and if we do that, that's what excites me. So even though you say we have momentum, and from the outside it looks like we have momentum because we're a really promoted club and we've done really well, actually on the inside we've had to fight with a load of things. So if we finish 12 points off the playoffs with all them things going on, if we can just control them a little bit better and people stay fit, then who knows where we can go. And along with obviously the recruitment in the summer.
How would you assess the season that's just finished? Because I think there's probably a sense of we've done really well in our first season, but also a sense of what might have been as well. Is that fair?
But I look at it from a management point of view, but I also sometimes try and put myself in the players' boots. And when we conceded that last minute goal at Lincoln, if we're being realistic, that was the end of our playoff push. And we've been pushing the players and pushing the players. The training, the intensity to our games have been so good that as soon as you lose that and you don't see that carrot at the end of it, human nature naturally you just come off it a little bit. You look at Shrewsbury on Saturday first half. They've been fighting for their lives. Last weekend they get safe against Charlton, and in the first 45 minutes they just don't look like they can pick the legs up. It's just human nature. So even though it's a little bit, it's nice to finish on a win, and the previous 4 or 5 games weren't good enough. But I think there's reasons behind that. Young players getting to the end of the season, tired, fatigued, and obviously a little bit more experienced players that have gone, we can't achieve nothing now. And you just take that 5-10% off, and it does have a huge impact on performance. So all in all, really good, but room for improvement.
Since the season's finished, we've released our retain list. There's a couple of names in there, a couple of players, Rob Hunt, Adam Thompson, who've played a big role at the club in the last couple of years. I mean, how grateful are you to those two?
Immensely. For, two different reasons, because Tomo was a player that when I first come into the club, relegation was knocking on the door to the National League, and Tomo was a big influence in that, both playing week in week out. I think he played more or less every game for me, and then off the pitch he was along with Darren Pratley and Omar Beckles and Vigor at the time, a huge influence in the dressing room. So I thank him for his service. Obviously we're trying to help him get another club. He's done well since he's gone to Barnet. Hunt is a little bit different, where I've had Hunt at 3 clubs. We've won 2 leagues together, and honestly, this was heartbreaking for me. But I just think sometimes as a manager, you have to make a decision based on what squad you have, what budget you have available, and we come to the decision where we just didn't think we could have TJ and Hunty in the same squad this year. We do want another fullback, more athletic fullback, to give us both dynamics of our fullback play. And Hunty, unfortunately, was the one that we've had to let go. But Hunty will not have a problem getting another club. And I actually spoke to Hunty on the way home last night after I'd had the meeting. I wish him all the best, and if I can do anything in the future, then I will do, because not only a good player, but a diamond of a lad.
And just lastly, when we're coming into the beginning of May now, so what happens now for you and your staff before the players and coaches are all back in July?
Hey, us compared to the players is totally different. I hope the players go away, spend time with the family, get some sun on the back, and enjoy themselves. They've done brilliant this year, and they can enjoy themselves. The ones that are injured, they need to concentrate, make sure the rehab is done correctly. And then what we need to do is 3 or 4 weeks before we come back. We had 3 slow starters last year: George Moncur, Tom James, and Omar Beckles. And it was of no fault of the clubs, no fault of my own. They took a decision to have their own personal programme through the pre-season, and it took them time to get going, and it cost us. So that won't be happening this year. We need to make sure everybody comes back ready to go, that come the first game of the season. The first 4 games of the season can make a huge impact. We're 10 points off the players after 4 games, and that's actually been the last number that we're away from the playoffs as well. So as staff, obviously, with recruitment, we'll be cracking on with it. I'll be meeting players. I'll be having conversations with agents in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I will then have a week off, and I'll go away somewhere, and then have my family holidays mid-June. So I think by mid-June, hopefully, if we can have, more importantly at the start in this situation now, we want Dan Happ, we want Ruel, we want the ones that we've offered contracts to sign them as quick as possible. So that puts us a little bit at ease at mind. Again, if we start in next season, or in a week's time, I've got Dan Happ, Jack Simpson, Omar Beckles and Brandon Cooper as my centre halves, I can relax. I've got a really good foundation to work from, and then we can make better decisions going forward.